What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb, and welcome to the Rehab Christian Center live virtual experience. And I am honored to be here tonight and honored that you have joined us. I am grateful for your presence, and I want to make sure, I'm not sure we are connected to Facebook. We may be having some more Facebook challenges again tonight, but I know we are on YouTube and we are on Instagram. And so I'm grateful to be here, and hopefully this will correct itself. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. It's probably been because my mouth has been so ratchet. Facebook might be censoring me now because my mouth has been a little ratchet over the last couple of weeks. And so I don't apologize. Everything I said, before I take it back, I'll add more to it. That's just what I do. But it's grateful. I'm grateful to be here tonight. And I think Facebook is working now because I see people getting on the line. So welcome. Good evening to you. Regardless of what network you're on, I want you to come on, say good evening, speak to everybody in the room, fill it up with hearts, like the video, love the video, share the video, do all of that stuff. I got a lot of ground to cover tonight. And my goal was not to make this into a series. But this evening, as I was taking one of my last laps around the neighborhood, this thing really hit me that this may be a couple of weeks. I really want to take my time and dive into this. And I want to say this to you off the bat, off the jump, that tonight is not designed to make you shout. It's not designed to make you feel good. It's not designed to make you have an apostolic fit. Tonight is designed to make you think. If you have not learned anything from me, over this last couple of months that we have been on the air through this pandemic, one thing you know about me is that I am a balanced teacher and preacher. I can make you happy, but I love to make you think, because fact of the matter is thinking is what's going to grow you. It's going to challenge you. And the Lord really impressed on my spirit tonight to deal with this topic, shifting from religion to relationship. So I need you to tag 5 people quickly. Come on, I got to run through all the networks. Instagram, good evening to you. Facebook, good evening to you. YouTube, good evening to you. Make sure you come in the room, say good evening, fill it up with hearts on whatever network you're on. And then I need you to tag 5, 6 people real fast. Come on, y'all. I need y'all to do this real quickly. I miss so many of you. I miss seeing you face to face, and certainly praying that God is still covering you and protecting you and your family is my prayer. And I can't wait to get into this message. So come on, tag 5 people quickly, y'all. Let's do this quickly. I really got to get into the word. And again, I got a lot of ground to make up. I don't think I'm going to get through it all tonight, but we're going to see how we feel as we go through. I really want to take my time because, again, tonight, I don't want you to get happy. I don't even care if you don't take a whole lot of notes other than amen or go ahead, pastor, whatever. Tonight, I really want you to think. I need you to think tonight. Because this message hit me like a bomb this week, and I can't wait to share it with you. I think it's going to bless you, and we're going to talk about shifting from religion to relationship, and it's going to be powerful. I promise you. Again, it's going to make you think, ain't going to make you pass out, but it's going to make you think. And thinking, anytime we think about why we worship and why we do what we do, we will always grow. That's one of the challenges with the church, especially the Black church. Let's just keep it 100. We got great music. We got great emotions. There's no better bands and singers on the planet than in the Black church. But the church gets real quiet when we challenge you to think about what it is you've fallen out about. Think about what it is, why it is you're coming to church. Think about why it is you believe what you believe. And when it's thinking time, it's normally quiet time. And so I want to challenge you tonight in a special way. It's just who I am. I can't help it. I got a real PhD, and I didn't go through school just to be a loud, screaming preacher. I am a thinker. I always have been. I always will be. And tonight I'm going to challenge you. I'm telling you right now. So have y'all tagged some people? Good. I see you on Instagram. Instagram, they tagging everybody on Instagram. This is all awesome. They tagging everybody. Facebook, come on, I need y'all being lazy on Facebook. I need you to go down your friends list now, hit that @ symbol and start tagging people. Hit that share button, share this to your page. I want people on your page to see this. Make sure they're going to see the title From Religion to Relationship. Somebody going to tune in tonight. I'm going to set somebody free tonight or make somebody mad one. So I need you to tag 5 people quickly, fill it up with hearts. Let me know you're tuned in. And let's get ready to get started. I want to say, as you're tagging people, I am praying for all of you. As you're tagging people and inviting people, I'm praying for all of you that has had received the Johnson & Johnson shot. My heart really hurt today to hear about the recalls of the shot, and over 7 million people have already taken the shot. And there are about 6 people that have suffered brain blood clots in the brain. And I think one person has passed away. And man, my heart just goes out to all of you that have taken that shot. I'm praying for you. I'm praying that God covers you in this season. And it's just, so many things I want to say about that, but I'm just not going to go down that rabbit hole. We just have to pray. We have to pray for the government. We have to pray for those people that are in charge with these things, and trust that God really leads them to keep us safe. And so I'm praying for you that had that shot. And, I know some of us have had the other ones, but I'm praying for those of you that have had that shot, and certainly that God will cover you. Let's get into this. I'm ready to teach tonight. All right. Put it in the topic right now or in your comments, from religion to relationship. That's what we're talking about tonight. And if you have not tagged anybody, if you have not shared this video, I need you to do it again. Let me preface this. My job tonight is not to make you like me. My job is to make you think. I'm going to make you think if I don't do nothing else tonight. And y'all know what kind of teacher I am. I am a preacher, a teacher, but I am a thinker. And you're going to think tonight. And so I want you to type it in the comments, from religion to relationship. That's what we're dealing with. And regardless of what network you're on, I need you to share this video. I need you to like our page. I need you to subscribe to our pages, all of that stuff. Do all of that. Y'all know what to do. But I want to get into the lesson tonight. All right. Now, here's the thing, because I really did some thinking, and forgive me, I've been having some challenges. So this is some good old fashioned peppermint tea, and it's great. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this pandemic, and I want to say this again. You all can, type as much notes as you want to tonight, but this is going to be a message that you're going to want to go back and listen to again to really digest it. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this pandemic, and I have, there are some personal lessons that I have discovered that I want to share with you. And, if you're on Facebook and you're friends with me, tag me in this video. Maybe it'll show up on my page. I want people on my page to see this too, because some folk ain't gonna like it. So one of y'all just tag me in the video, tag my page on Facebook so that it shows up on my page. Let me say this to you. I've really been thinking about this pandemic, and I have come to the conclusion that people are going to emerge from this pandemic one of 3 ways. Okay, when this pandemic is over, and we don't know when it's over, I don't know if you all are paying attention or not, the numbers are coming back up. They always rise after holidays, things like that. People are tired of being inside. I understand. And pastor's tired too. But the numbers will continue to fluctuate, I believe, during the summer. We're not in the clear yet. There are states where the numbers are rising back up at a pretty rapid pace. And so I don't know when the end of the pandemic is. I'm not going to give you a prophetic word like I do. But I'm going to say this, that when this pandemic is over, people are going to emerge one of 3 ways. I can promise you this. Way number 1, they're going to come out of the pandemic better than what they were before. I don't want y'all to forget this. These are things that just really dropped in my spirit that I wanted to share with you. People, number 1, are either going to come out of the pandemic better than they were before, meaning they will have learned more. They will have grown more. They will have developed more, right? And when I say learn, I'm not just talking in a spiritual sense. I'm talking about gaining new skills, new certifications, developing personally, developing professionally, developing spiritually, right? I tell my students all the time, if at the end of this pandemic, you don't come out with a new skill set, you just wasted a whole year, period. I don't care who you are, what you do. If you have wasted this last 12, 14 months, 15 months, you don't come out with a new skill, a new idea, a new something, you have wasted the last 14, 12, 13 months of your life. All right. So people are going to come out of this better than they were before, right? That's way 1, in mind, in body, and spirit, right? They're going to be better thinkers. I know for me personally, I'll tell you, The pandemic was really a blessing because it really, in many ways, for me personally, forced me to get back into more reading and studying, right? Because I couldn't go and come. And so I spent more time here and teaching the kids and doing all of that stuff. And it really got me back to the things that I truly loved. And so it was a blessing. I think for me, I was a great thinker before the pandemic. I'm an incredible thinker now. I have down, I don't know, 15 books since we've been in the 200-page books, 400 or 500-page books. Everything from philosophy to just things, that I enjoy, to obviously writing my 4th book and trying to finalize that now. So people are going to come out of this pandemic, better than they were before in mind, in body, and spirit. So that's number one, right? You're going to have those people that when the pandemic is over, they will have come out better than they were before. You're going to have then people who emerge the second way, and that is worse than what they were before. Some people, when this pandemic is over, they're coming out of it worse than what they were before, meaning they will have wasted the last year or more of their lives with no true growth, with no true development. Their minds aren't better than what they were before. Their minds aren't sharper than what they were before. They have invested nothing into their personal development. They have invested nothing into their spiritual development. They have invested nothing into their professional development or their careers. They have invested nothing into their mindset. They've invested nothing. And so the last year will have been nothing more than a waste of time. Okay? You're going to have people that fall into category number 2. That will come out of this pandemic worse than what they were before. And you see signs of that if you pay attention. People have wasted more time over this last year thinking that because we couldn't come outside and we couldn't come do certain things, that gave us a license to, in essence, take a year vacation. And I'm here to tell you, I've worked harder in the last year, probably, than I may have worked in any year period of my entire life. It has been an incredibly hardworking, stressful year. I don't mean stress in the sense of crazy stuff. I mean stress in the sense of doing a variety of different things all at once. And so a lot of people are going to come out of this pandemic, some, number one, better than what they were before. Number 2, worse than what they were before. And this is the big one. Some people are going to come out of the pandemic, number 3, the same as what they were before. The same as what they were before. And I'm here to tell you and challenge you that if you use the last year to justify stagnation, to justify being who you are, instead of using the last year to spark growth, I'm here to tell you, you're in a worse boat. That if after this pandemic, you are the same as what you were a year ago. The reality is, this is where category 3 is where traditional people belong. This is where I'm going to dive into some deep waters tonight. Traditional people belong in category 3 because the reality is, if the pandemic did not challenge the way you think, if the pandemic did not challenge the way you live, if the pandemic did not challenge your general perspective on life, growth, spiritual development, any of those things, you have missed a major opportunity. You have missed a major opportunity. And category 3 is really what connects us in a broader way to the topic tonight, shifting from religion to relationship. I said it Sunday. I know some people got real upset, but I meant what I said. Again, before I take it back, I'll add more to it. So many people were in a hurry to be in church on Easter Sunday out of tradition, when in reality, many of those same people have experienced no real spiritual growth over the last year. And the pandemic was not accidental. I'm going to get into that in a second. But hear what I'm saying. If you did not come out of this pandemic and did not see this pandemic as a way to challenge the way you live, think, move, operate, you have wasted an entire year. And listen, y'all not gonna like this, but let's just deal with it. Even corporate America, even the business world and business sectors understand there are organizations and corporations now that will never have full capacity employees in a building ever again. There are corporations that have already announced and said that when the pandemic is over, as we're starting to come out of it, there are people that never have to come back to the building. They can work from home for the rest of their lives. Even corporate America in the business sector understands that the pandemic forced us all to reconsider how we do life. And what is unfortunate is that the church tends to be the last place that wants to adjust when the times adjust. I'm gonna get in trouble here. Let me sip some tea. And we say stuff like Jesus the same, yesterday, today, forevermore. That's 1,000,000% true. But Jesus ain't the times. Jesus never changes. The times will always change. And the reality is he's so much God that he can be the same God in the 2000s that he was in the 1930s. But the reality is the application of who he is up to us. Some of y'all gonna miss this and it's gonna go over your head. The application of who he is up to us. And we have to be able to adjust with the times and offer the same 1930 Jesus, the 1930s Jesus in 2021 in a way that he is not only known, but he's relevant. The Bible says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. It never said how we ought to lift him. I'm gonna say this again. The Bible says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. He said that, but he never told us how we ought to lift him. And see, the problem is traditional religious folks think that the only way you can lift them is in a building. And guess what? The pandemic hit, and all of a sudden, you had to lift them from your living room. All of a sudden, you had to lift them from your bedroom. All of a sudden, you had to lift them from Starbucks with headphones on. And here's the problem. You should have been lifting them from those spaces before the pandemic even hit. I'm about to get in trouble. You should have been lifting them from your home before COVID-19 got here. And so the reason why church folks got fatigued with lifting him at home is because the reality is most of them were never lifting him from home in the first place. Let me sip some more tea. Y'all don't want me tonight. No, y'all won't lifting him from home. Because if you were lifting him from home, and I'm gonna get into this in a second, then the transition from having church in the building to COVID-19 church in the house would have been easy. Let me tell you, and I told the church on a church meeting a few weeks ago, Pastor's revelation got real heavy over the last year. I don't know about nobody else's house, but Pastor was studying like crazy. And, Pastor, sometimes had to reel himself in because I ain't quite sure y'all could really handle the stuff I was saying. So, you should have been studying the whole time. And so if you did not use this pandemic as an opportunity to challenge or change the way you think or the way you live. In other words, if there's not something different today that you're doing different today that you have not been doing, that you were not doing a year ago, at least one thing, you missed the whole boat. You missed the entire boat. All right. Now, I'm going to give you 3 major lessons I learned from the pandemic, and I'm going to try to get through all 3 in the next 30 minutes. All right. I'm going to give you 3 major lessons I learned from the pandemic, and we're really going to tie it into the fact that a lot of people are just the same today as they were before, and I'm going to prove it to you. All right. Are y'all ready? Have y'all invited people? Have you tagged people into this video? This is about to get real good. Have y'all tagged anybody? Have you liked this video? Have you shared this video? If you have not done it, I need you to do it quickly. All right. Now, let's deal with this. There are 3 major lessons I learned from the pandemic. All right. Tag 5 people now. 3 major lessons. Lesson number 1. Y'all ready? Pastor gonna get a little bit of credit before he goes in. All right. Because the church, the apostolic folks always throw off and accuse me of this one. All right. So let me just go ahead and just deal with it. Number 1, the church is not dead and it'll never die. Okay. First lesson I learned from the pandemic. The church is not dead and it'll never die. Matthew 16:18. What did Jesus say? He looked at Peter and said, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." Here's the thing. The proper context of Jesus' statement, and this is important, the proper context of Jesus' statement was his declaration that despite his trial and his death, remember, he makes this statement to Peter as he's on the way to trial and his eventual death and resurrection. And so Peter is feeling some kind of way because the man is coming after Jesus. And he looks at Peter and says, "You're Peter, and upon this rock I built my church. The gates of hell, including what I'm about to go through, shall not prevail against it." All right. So we're going to quote this. Let's quote it in the context. So what he's saying is, despite his trial, despite his death or challenges, the church is always going to stand. And I hope we learned that the last year. Some of y'all thought you were going to have a year off of church. No, COVID ain't going to stop the church. Ain't nothing that could ever hit. COVID, no pandemic is ever going to stop the church. All right. So let me just make that loud and clear. This is the first thing that I learned. I ain't really learned it, but this is really to appease those of you who be thinking that I'm non-church. Like, I'm pro-church. I'm non-foolishness, but I'm pro-church. All right. So the church is not dead and it'll never die. Right. Now that I've said this, let me give you the flip side of this. This does not mean that the church should not reconsider the way it's done church. There's the air coming out the balloon. This does not mean that the church should not reconsider the way it's done church. Now, let me just give y'all some examples because I said it earlier. Jesus is the only person that ain't subject to change. He can't change. The minute he changes, he becomes a liar. The minute he becomes a liar, then everything we believe goes down the toilet. So Jesus cannot change and he will not change. He's the only thing that can't change. But the reality is, this pandemic didn't teach the church that you ought to think about changing the way you do church. Something wrong with you. Now, I know y'all not going to like this. I know y'all gonna like this, but we have so many examples over the last year that proved that a lot of the things we did in church, and I'm saying we because I'm guilty, we've done in church that we thought we had to have, we really didn't need to have. We did. Look, and I'll use Elder Misty, the praise team, as an example. I know she doesn't mind. I'll use them as an example. They haven't sung in over a year. It's been coming on, doing declaration, having people read scripture and writing to the teacher. They ain't sung it over a year to our members. But we have been such in a formality that you got to have prayer, you got to have this, and then praise him, sings for 30 minutes or hour, and then I come up and teach, and then you got to have this routine. And the pandemic took all of that and turned it upside down until people got creative and started singing, from recorded sets and things like that. And we've looked into doing things like that. The point being, the pandemic forced people to get out of their routine. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But the church has to reconsider the way it does church. Now, if you were a church or a ministry that never did outreach, that never believed in reaching out to people outside the walls, guess what you were forced to do? You were forced to get on a computer screen and do what you should have been doing in the first place, which is going outside your walls and preaching to folk who have never walked into your building. Now, I'm going to brag on Rehab for a little bit here. You all know our story, fed over 20,000 people. If you know the history of our church, you know our history of walking up and down in neighborhoods and areas, giving out food, witnessing to people, praying for people. That's just who we are. So being in this environment and preaching to people we don't know, this was real easy for us. It just was easy. But churches struggle because all of a sudden they had to reconsider the way they do church. Was churches taking 4, 5 offerings every Sunday. And all of a sudden, you had to ask for an offering online and you couldn't count it. And you had to ask for one offering and trust God to be able to handle the rest. See, the pandemic really was a blessing because it forced many churches and people to reconsider the way they do church. Now, let me just tell you, because what we're going to find out is, and I'm about to get into this in my second thing that I learned, what we're going to find out is that when people really get back into the building, they're going to go right back to the stuff they was doing. And it's going to prove that they fall into category number 3. And that is, they didn't change. They didn't adjust with the times. They just stuck with what they were doing. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. And I'm here to make this prediction with you, that the pandemic has been not only so eye-opening that it's going to challenge the way churches do church, but if churches do not reconsider some things, they're going to struggle to survive. The church ain't going to die. Let me say this again, because Lord, folks take that part of the clip and then they'll just share that and screenshot it like they do. Let me say this again. The church is not going to die. But hear what I'm saying. Your church is going to be on life support if you don't think about and reconsider the way you do in church. It's just a fact. Okay. And the pandemic turned the church world upside down on its head. Right. And so it doesn't mean you believe in God less. It doesn't mean that you ain't holding up the bloodstained banner. Y'all miss me with that. I'm not talking about that foolishness. I'm saying Jesus the same yesterday, today, forever. But you better be sensitive to the time that you're in. And so I really believe in many ways, the pandemic was an opportunity for a wake-up call to reconsider the way we go about ministry. All right. I'm here to tell you straight up, rehab will never be the same. I don't know what rehab will look like. I'm still going back and forth in my mind about what rehab is going to look like. I know I'm not going to forsake this virtual audience who has been so supportive of us for this last year. But frankly, I don't know what rehab is going to look like when we open back up. I know this, though. It ain't going to be the same because I'm not the same. It's not going to be the same. My teaching is better. My preaching is probably 50 times better, but I'm just not the same. It's going to be different. And I hope that this has awakened the same kind of perspective in you as well. Second thing that I learned, and this is where it's going to get good. We may get stuck here. I don't know if I'm going to get to the third thing. Here's the second thing that I learned. Second thing that I learned as a result of the pandemic is this. You ready? It takes faith to please God, not formality. It takes faith to please God, not formality. It takes faith to please God, not formality. Not formality. You ready? The very idea that God and spiritual transformation can only happen in a building is in the trash. Let me give y'all a minute. The very idea that God and spiritual transformation can only happen in a building is in the trash can. Now, I know that hurts some of y'all's feelings. I've had members who are faithful. I've had members I hardly ever see worry me to death about when I'm going to open up a building. And let me tell y'all something. COVID-19 should have reminded y'all that spiritual transformation don't have to happen in a building. Now, don't misunderstand me. I made this clear in the beginning. Upon this rock, I build my church. The gates of hell will not prevail against it. The church is alive forever. The church will never die. But y'all not listening to what I'm saying. In the same breath, COVID-19 also taught us that you can still spiritually transform outside of a church building. Now, this concept ain't new. Do your research. Okay? Do your research. Understand your history. Where did church start? How was the idea of churches start? Churches didn't start in buildings. Churches started in homes. I'm about to get in trouble. The irony of this is that COVID took us out of a building, put us in our homes, and churches actually never started in buildings. They started in homes. Back in the day, I remember this, I was a little boy. I think my mom and dad are tuning in. Big ups to my mom and dad, my pastor, and my mom. Back in the day, they used to have something called prayer bands. Now, some of you have never heard of a prayer band. And what prayer bands were was nothing more than going around to people's houses and having intimate worship settings in different people's houses. And most of the time it would happen on a Friday night or a Saturday night or something like that. And they called them prayer bands. Some of y'all never heard of it. Ask your parents, ask your grandparents. They'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Prayer bands. And the irony of us having church in homes is simple. COVID-19 took us back to having worship experiences with God in intimate settings where there weren't a lot of people and you weren't in a formal building and you still had to make a connection with God. Now, I want to say this. The survival of the church, your relationship with God, is not connected to formality. It's connected to intimacy. I want y'all to remember this statement. If you don't remember nothing else I say to you tonight, I need you to remember what I just said. The survival of the church, or the survival of your relationship with God, because you are the church. We learned that, didn't we? We knew this before COVID-19. If you ever been to Sunday school, they taught this all the time. You are the church. So the survival of the church, or the survival of your relationship with God, is not connected to formality. It's connected to intimacy. Now, y'all give me a few moments to break this down. Intimacy. What is intimacy? Intimacy is a close, personal, private bond between people, or between people in a place, or between people and things, or among things that exists beyond surface view. It's a personal, private bond that exists between people, between people and things, among things that exist beneath the surface of common view. That's what intimacy is. Typically, we think about intimacy in the context of sexual relations, but that's only one form of many forms of intimacy. There are more forms of non-sexual intimacy than there are physical forms of intimacy, right? And you've got things like, for instance, there are 4 types, and you do some research on this, you'll see they're commonly anywhere from 4 to 6 different types of intimacy. Emotional intimacy, right? Being emotionally connected to someone. Mental intimacy, right? In your mind and your thinking, being on the same wavelength with someone. Spiritual intimacy, right? What we see when we are in church buildings, right? The reason why people crave church is because, and I'm gonna get to this in a second, because see, really what made the church work and what makes the church work is if a church is properly consecrated for worship, when you walk in, you should feel a spiritual, emotional connection to the building that helps you get a greater contact with God, right? When the atmosphere in the building is off, then your intimacy levels are off, right? So what makes the church awesome is that if a church or a building has been consecrated for connection with God and consecrated to feel the presence of God, then when you walk in that building, then you should feel a sense of spiritual intimacy. Is that making sense? Right? Of course, we know physical intimacy, that's the last form that you commonly see. But again, dealing with this spiritual intimacy thing and why church is effective. So then, listen to me. If the church has been consecrated as a place, the church building, right? I'm talking church building. If the church building has been consecrated as a place for spiritual intimacy, where when you walk in, you should be able to feel the presence of God because a building has been consecrated for you to get a contact with God when you walk in, right? We know that to be true. Then COVID hits and there is no building and you got to have church from your home. Then tell me why you could not feel his presence in your house. I'm going to ask the question again. It's a rhetorical one. If a church building has been consecrated for you to have spiritual intimacy with God, and we agree that the atmosphere of a building can be conducive to you being able to have a spiritual connection, a spiritual moment, a spiritual experience with God, we agree with that. Then why did you struggle during COVID to have a spiritual connection in your house? I'm going to give you the answer. People struggled and got tired of trying to get a connection in their house. They struggled with virtual church. You know why? Because they were looking for intimacy in a space that was never consecrated. This word is better. I'm going to say this again. You were trying to be intimate in a space that was never consecrated. Let me ask you something. You really pray in your house? You really anoint your house? Uh-oh. Do you really pray over your food? Let's just start there. Is your house really consecrated? Because let me tell you something. If you ever walked in a building, church building, that wasn't really consecrated and you was trying to get in the service, but you couldn't because the atmosphere was off, guess what? It ain't no different in your house. You sitting in your living room talking, I'm tired of virtual church, Lord. I was pastor open up the building. Let me tell you something. Right here in this den, right downstairs in my basement, man, I've been having a ball. I pray in my house every day. My church, my house, I pray in my house every single day. So to be able to be intimate with God in my house wasn't much of a transition. The difference is I ain't had no audience in my face. So let me ask you a question. If you struggle making out with God in your house, could it be that it's because your house is filled with all kinds of junk? That it was messing up the atmosphere of intimacy? I know. See, think about it. Come on, you churchy folks. Y'all talk to me. Come on, you churchy folks. You churchy folk go, oh, we're not going to proceed the service until we get the atmosphere right. Now, praise and worship leaders, get on the mic. We're not going to put pastor up here until we get the atmosphere right for worship. Didn't you say it? Yeah, you said it. You still say it. We got to get the, Lord, fill the atmosphere. Fill the house, Lord. Fill the atmosphere. Shift the atmosphere. Right. We say all of that as it relates to a building. Let me ask you something. Did you shift the atmosphere in your house? This is why I'm not no convocation preacher. I'll never end up on the convocation circuit. This stuff make you think. It don't make you shout all the time. Did you shift the atmosphere in your house? The same way the praise and worship leaders, the pastors try to shift the atmosphere in a building to make that atmosphere conducive for worship. Did you do it in your house, or did you get tired? Or is there so much stuff in your house that you really could not get a contact of spiritual intimacy in your house because you was trying, but you still had some other stuff going on in your house? Listen, y'all, I think y'all missing this. I really feel like y'all missing this. The comments are starting to slow down. Maybe y'all thinking, I think y'all are missing this, but I need you to hear me and hear me well. It takes faith to please God, not formality. COVID, this virus reminded us that if you got a relationship with God for real, you really can stir up the gift anywhere you are and get a contact with him and be intimate with him. Now, let me go back to point one. For y'all play this part of the video and say, there he go again, talking about the church ain't brother. Because I got, other preacher colleagues that love to throw off and suggest that I do that. They never tell me directly, but they love to throw off and suggest that I'm saying that. So let me make this clear. The church ain't going nowhere. It ain't. There'll always be a purpose for the church, but you better hear what I'm saying. If COVID didn't remind you that you better have a relationship outside of a building, you missed the last year. If you were so much in a hurry to get back in a building so you could get in an intimate atmosphere, what you said was you ain't got no intimate atmosphere in your house. What you said was you ain't got no intimate atmosphere in your living room, in your bedroom. What you said was you need a formal building that is consecrated for you to get a contact, instead of you being able to consecrate your own living space so that anytime you need a contact, you can get one. See, COVID just proved that many of y'all really needed a church building to pray. COVID just proved that many of y'all really don't pray except for Sundays and Tuesdays. Boy, this tea is hitting. Y'all forget my chip. I chipped it last week. You ever have a mug that you don't want to throw away? This is one of them. Well, if I can just make it back to the house of the Lord, if I can just make it back to the house of the Lord, I agree. I want to make it back too. But if I never do, y'all don't like this. If I never make it back to the house of the Lord, let me tell y'all what I've done I have grown more spiritual in the last year than I had probably grown in the last 10. Y'all don't like this. I know. Yeah, Pastor want to make it back too. Hear what I'm saying? But your premise is flawed, because you are suggesting that the only way you can get strength is in a formal building. And I'm saying to you, it don't take formality to please God. It takes faith to please him. Without faith, not formality. Without faith, not a building. Without faith, not a structure. Without faith, not tradition. Without faith, not a traditional format. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. And guess what? You had to spend a whole year plus in your house exercising your faith. And many people got tired to the point when it was begging pastors, preacher, go ahead and open up. Folk was trying to open up, and churches was passing out COVID like free meals, trying to open up because they just felt like they had to be in the building. When the reality of the matter is, it just proved that your house ain't consecrated, that your home ain't consecrated. Well, pastor, because I hear y'all, well, pastor, it's just not the same, pastor. It ain't the same to be in the building. I didn't suggest that it was the same. What I'm suggesting to you is intimacy is intimacy. Okay. All right. Because y'all, I've tried not to go here. So let me just go here. Ever been intimate with a person before? Because y'all get this. So let me give y'all something y'all get. You ever been intimate with a person before? Intimate, physically, sexually, whatever, only. You ever been intimate with a person before you were connected to? Intimate, right? Let me ask y'all a question. Y'all smart. Let me ask y'all a question. If you have ever experienced intimacy with anybody, was that intimacy limited to a place? Come on, talk back to me. This is a time I want you to type in the comments. I'm looking. Y'all want me to put the comments on the screen? Because I can do that. Y'all want to do that? Come on, talk back to me. Have you ever been intimate with a person to the point where when you were intimate with them, it was only regulated with a place? Just answer the question. No. Because if you've ever been intimate with somebody, guess what? That intimacy was so powerful that it didn't matter where you were. Didn't matter where you were going. Didn't matter what place you were in. Didn't matter the setting. It didn't matter, none of that. Guess what? Intimacy was something with that person that you could carry anywhere. So let me ask y'all a rhetorical question. If you could be intimate with a person and that intimacy was good anywhere you went, why is our intimacy with God only limited to a building? I'm gonna wait on the answer. Y'all, make it make sense to me, because it don't make sense. If your intimacy with a person could be anywhere, yep, I hear you, Brittany, whether it was a sneaky link, whatever it was, your intimacy could be good anywhere y'all went. You had that card because y'all had an intimate relationship. Then why don't we have the same kind of relationship with God? I'm gonna tell you why. Because we traditional. We thought that pleasing God was connected to formality. And COVID said, nah, come here. I'm gonna prove to you that intimacy is bigger than a building. And I'm gonna make you get intimate with me in your house. And many of y'all struggle. You know why? Because you was trying to bring God in a place, frankly, that he probably had never been before. I'm gonna say that again. Are you listening to me? You were trying to bring him in a place that chances are he never been before. Yeah, this kind of teaching right here never get me invitations. That's why I work a job. I have to preach to live. I live to preach. Are y'all listening to me? Are you listening to the old man? That's right, Mama. You listen to the old man? Huh? See, the reality is intimacy is intimacy wherever you are. Whoever you are intimate with, you can be intimate with them in all spaces. You don't be just intimate at home. You connect with somebody. If y'all on vacation, heck, if you're in the car, I mean, I'm not trying to get graphic enough. I'm not always talking about physical intimacy. Again, you got emotional intimacy, you got mental intimacy. There's different layers of intimacy. The point is there's a deeper level, right? Remember, there's a personal bond with whoever you're intimate with. And that bond has nothing to do with location. God is the only thing that we try to regulate to a space and think that the only way we can be intimate with him is in a building. I know this ain't popular. This video won't get shared. It's all good. But I'm going to change somebody's life tonight. Let me tell you something. I don't know when the pandemic gonna end, but let me tell you something. If we end up in this space for another year, you better learn how to get intimate with God in your house. Because the reality is many of y'all struggling to get back in the church because your house is just not a place of intimacy because you ain't never really invited him in there. He ain't never really been in there. And now you've been forced to have to put him in there for a year and you struggling to bring them in, and you like, Pastor, open up the building. And I'm like, I want to open the building, but it ain't quite time yet. And I'm trying to use some wisdom and you trying to force me. Meanwhile, I'm growing. I'm developing spiritually and I'm trying to figure out why people struggling. And then I know the answer. They're struggling because they thought you could only be intimate with God in a church. But if you can be intimate with your partner in multiple places, you can be intimate with God anywhere. Oh, y'all not listening to me. Y'all not listening. It was, I think it might've been a couple of Sundays ago. I was leaving mom and dad's and man, the Lord really started speaking to me about some of this stuff. And man, I just had a moment in my car. Like, it was like, I literally felt like Jesus was sitting in the passenger side of that car I drive. And like, I felt his presence strong. I was not in no building. I ain't had Chris on the organ to cue me up. I ain't had no click track. I ain't had Missy in the mic to screen. I ain't had none of that. And so if you're waiting on a building to be intimate, start over. Start over. because that's not where it's at. That's not where it's at. And the church is going to have to realize that. It takes faith to please God, not formality. The formal building. People are struggling with virtual church. People are struggling being at home and not in the building because they're looking for intimacy in a space. Their home, bedrooms, what? They're looking for intimacy in a space that's filled with all kinds of other junk that has never been consecrated in the first place. I know y'all don't like this. I'm not going to even say that. I'm going to keep that to myself. I'm just saying, you're looking for intimacy in a place that ain't consecrated for intimacy. And come on. If you are intimate with a person in the natural sense, through a relationship or whatever, and even if you've got an intimate relationship with them, if the atmosphere is off, it can impact your ability to be intimate with them. Right? I mean, you could have an intimate relationship with somebody, but if y'all just had a really bad argument or some things were really said that was just really deep down and personal, you may have an intimate connection with them, but you may have to wait for the mood to shift so the atmosphere is conducive for you to continue forward. Does that make sense? So some of you are struggling in your house, having intimate time with God, and you rushing to get in the building because that atmosphere at your house probably ain't what it needs to be. I said what I said. I don't care if you don't like it. I really don't care. All right. Third thing that I learned. I'm a little bit over tonight, but it's worth it. I don't want to do a series on this because y'all don't really want this right here. Third thing that I learned. The pandemic. Y'all like and share this. Third thing that I learned with the pandemic is this. You ready? I learned this, that just because something is hard does not mean it's not God. Just because something in your life is hard does not mean it's not God. Just because something is hard does not mean it's not God. That's the third lesson and final lesson I learned in the pandemic. See, we have misinterpreted Proverbs 10 and 22. The blessings of the Lord maketh rich and adds no sorrow with it. And then we say things like, if God bless you, then there ain't no sorrow that come with the blessing. That's not what it's saying. What it's saying is that after God blesses you, then the thing he's blessed you with should not cause you grief. It's not talking about the process. It's not talking about the process. And so what we got to stop doing is only giving God credit for the good stuff and giving the devil credit for the bad stuff. I'm going to say this again. We got to stop giving God credit for just the good stuff and then stop just giving the devil credit for the bad stuff. Now, I find it honestly a little comedic, a little humorous that some people blame the devil for COVID and don't even consider that maybe, just maybe, God did this. Are y'all gonna talk to me tonight? I find it a little humorous that when COVID hits, we say stuff like, Lord, send this COVID back to the pits of hell. How you know it came from the pit? Come on, you Bible, you church slang talking folks. Say something to me. How you know COVID came from the pits of hell? I'm asking for myself. How do you know? We don't know. In fact, the Bible tells us that in the end days, perilous times are going to come, and that we would see things like wars and rumors of wars, diseases and pestilence. That's in the word. Maybe, just maybe, just maybe, God is giving us a preview of what's coming. Oh, y'all quiet now. But yet, I sat there, I watched some streams on Easter. Folk was rebuking COVID. I rebuked the demon of COVID. How you know it's a demon? Let me just I'm gonna shut my laptop now. How y'all know COVID was a demon? I'm asking for myself as I drink my tea. How you know COVID was a demon? Huh? How you know? You don't know. Well, the Lord showed. Did he really show you? He showed you that? If the Lord showed you, because we got some prophets that be, giving you your address. See, now y'all have woke me up. You got some prophets, prophets out here, prophetesses that be giving you an address, your name. Sister Misty Welch lives on 1300 Burbank Street. I got a word, and y'all just fall, oh my God, it's in my address. And then they be like, COVID came from the pits of hell. Did it? I'm asking. Because I'm going to suggest to you that just because it was hard don't mean it won't God. I truly believe this. This is my thoughts. This is something I've been wrestling with over the last year. I'll be frank with you. I'm being candid with you. This is something I've wrestled with over the last year, and I'm going to just be candid with you and say this, that I really believe God sent COVID to really get some things back in order and restructured and realigned the way they need to be. I'm serious. And y'all sit up there with your little guitar with your two missing strings. I hate this song. I can't stand the song. Everything that happened to me that was good, God did. God did it. Yeah, yes, he did. Oh, yes, he did it. Everything that happened to me that was good, God did it. God did it. Can't stand the song because it's a lie. Everything that happened to you that was good ain't always come from God. There's a whole lot of stuff that happened to me that was real good, and God had nothing to do with it. Nothing. Nothing. It had everything to do with the devil. It was real good. Oh, y'all don't like this. And we get in church and sing this foolishness. Everything that happened to me that was good, God did it. God did it. Oh, yes, he did. Oh, yes, he did it. He woke me up. Like you get into all of this foolishness, but you never really stop to think about that there's some things that happened to you that was great that had nothing to do with God. And then there were some things that happened to you that were horrible that you blame the devil for that had everything to do with God. Are y'all not listening to me? I can't stand the song. I used to hear the song on the radio and turn it. I don't want to hear that mess. Don't, Elder Miss, I wish you would sing God Did It at Rehab. Pastor's gonna go off. Don't you ever, I love you, Elder Miss. Don't you ever sing that. I can't stand it because it's a lie. It's a bald-faced lie. And so I'm suggesting to you that just because this COVID virus was hard, it don't mean it won't God. Just because a lot of people lost their lives, and a lot of people lost their lives, and we're very sensitive to that. A lot of people lost their lives, unfortunately. It's so unfortunate. But y'all not about to walk around here and blame the devil for this when you don't know. I'm here to suggest to you that maybe, just maybe, as the Bible clearly predicted the end of times, that maybe, just maybe, God allowed this to happen. I know. All right, I'm done. This bless anybody tonight? Pastor, what's the point of religion and relationship? It's simple. That if you are not positioned right now to understand that what's more important in your life is not a formality of church and a formality of God, but really knowing him, I can't help you. I can open a building and let you shout, and you're going to be the same person you were a year ago. So y'all quit worrying me to death. Lord, yeah. That's probably why Facebook acting crazy. Because I've been talking crazy. I mean what I said. Stop worrying me to death about when I'm opening the building. I'm going to open the building. The building's going to open. Church's going to open back up. We'll open it back up. But y'all stop worrying me to death about the building open up and make sure your atmosphere where you are is conducive to your growth. Because I'm going to tell you, when we get back in the building, we going to see who grew and who didn't. Oh, y'all quiet here. You're going to be able to tell who grew and who didn't. And some of y'all going to walk right back in your church building, wherever your church is. You're going to walk right back in your church and you're going to be the same person you was a year ago. And you're going to be looking for God the same way. And good luck to you. Good luck. You might get a good dance. You might get, a good apostolic Pentecostal word. Good luck. Baptist word, whatever you are. Good luck on all of that. But let me tell you something. If this pandemic then challenged you to really consider deepening your relationship with God, you missed an opportunity. I'm telling you, at this point, all having Chris on the organ, praise team, people in the crowd saying preach, pastor, teach, that's just icing on the cake at this point. I'm so filled up spiritually and so transformed spiritually and in my mind that I'm just here to tell you, y'all just a bonus. You ain't even necessary. I know. Y'all don't like I'm being honest with you. And my thinking is all of you should have grown over this last year. You got to get out of religious stuff and start walking in relationship. When you walk in relationship, if the virus lasts 5 more years, when it's all over, you still gonna know God. What if, y'all? What if the virus extends 2 more years and you got to have church like this? What y'all gonna do? What y'all gonna do? Pastor, I'm gonna have to just find me a church where I can go and just wear my mask. Go ahead. It's fine. And I'm not criticizing you. Go ahead and do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. As long as they're Bible teaching, Bible preaching, in Bible, God-inspired church, that's great. I ain't got no challenge with that. I mean that. Rehab ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. It ain't everybody for rehab. I get it. I ain't got no problem with that. But let me tell you something. If COVID didn't take your rituals and turn them upside down and make you rethink a lot of stuff, you missed the whole boat. I told them on the church call a couple of weeks ago, and I meant it. The format of our services are probably going to change. The times are going to change. I'm not walking away from this virtual choir. People that have connected through our ministry through this virtual space that have never been connected to our ministry ever. You think I'm going to get back? I'm going to open up a building and go right back to my traditional way of 9 o'clock service and that's it. No online. No, I learned from the virus. Didn't you? Didn't you? There are some people that actually like virtual church better than it face-to-face. And I'm going to tell you, many of y'all don't know this about pastors. Some of y'all do, especially some of you that are closer to me know this. Pastor's actually an introvert. Pastor's not an extrovert. I enjoy being quiet and being to myself. So pastor's actually an extrovert. And I'm going to tell y'all, this virtual church has been on time. To an introvert like me, this has been on time. So please understand, some of you really enjoy virtual church. Y'all stop criticizing people because they like virtual church. And we're not going to criticize people because they like being in the building. I'm saying be fair. The virus should have forced you to reconsider your relationship with God, not a religion. And if you still feel like you got to put on your convocation white every first Sunday, if you still feel like you got to put on your convocation white every first Sunday and be in a building in order to experience God's presence, I'm telling you, you have learned hardly nothing the last year. I said what I said. I meant what I said. It takes courage to say this kind of stuff. I'm not scared. It's the truth. And again, my thing is simple. I don't criticize people for being back in the building, and none of you should as well. Pray for pastors. The decision to be back in the building is a heavier thought. It's a heavier decision than many of you will ever understand, because it's more than just getting back in a building, but it's also thinking about the safety and well-being of people. It's not an easy decision. Some of y'all out here criticizing pastors and you don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what's behind their thinking when they're deciding to get back into it. So I don't criticize pastors for opening back up. I don't know why they open up. It ain't my business. Those are their ministry. It ain't got nothing to do with me. So y'all stop criticizing pastors that have opened back up, who have chosen to do that, and pray that they have safety protocols in place that allow them to do ministry and do it in an excellent way, do it in a safe way. And we pray for them and we root for them. No issue with that at all. I preach for my big brother in Raleigh, Bishop Godby, and he had safety protocols in place and he's doing a great job. I don't criticize pastors for opening up, but let me just tell y'all be fair. Y'all stop criticizing the pastors who ain't. We're not going to criticize the ones that open, but y'all stop criticizing the ones that ain't open. Because let me tell you something. I know as for me, Dr. Zeb Talley III, let me tell y'all something. COVID has taught me we got to really think about how we do church for real. And it's bigger than just a ritual and a routine. If you're going to reach people and be effective. If you're going to reach people and be effective and change lives, and listen, we've had a ton of people get saved over this last year. We had a ton of people. I got the emails to prove it. People who talk about how their lives were really transformed through 60 minutes of teaching on a computer screen. So it's working, but it's forcing us to think about it. I'm going to put this out here, then I'm going to pray. We're going to sow seed and we're going to go. But I'm going to even put this out here. Let me make a prediction to you. I don't think the mega church is dead. The mega church will never die. Again, the church ain't dying. There will always be mega churches and big ministries. And I have no issues with mega churches as I have no issues with smaller churches. Right. So I think the mega church is going to continue to be present, continue to do what it does. But I think in many ways, you're going to see adjustments in how church. You're going to see adjustments and you're going to see significant adjustments in the sizes of churches, because a lot of this is generational, right? So my PhD is in generational studies. And so I understand, boomers and X's and Z's and millennials. I'm into all of that stuff. I get this. I've got a real PhD in this stuff. And let me tell you something. The generations to come are going to be more like what we saw in the early church days. Let me just put this out here for you thinkers. What you're going to see in the future is going to be more like what we saw in the early church days, where people are going to eventually crave smaller, intimate sessions where they can really learn and grow and develop, versus being in larger spaces only with inspired word, a bunch of preaching and that stuff is great and it's got its place. But the mega church is going to be challenged. And I've got some friends and I know some people who have large ministries and they already do this. And that's why they're doing well. Larger churches are going to have to be challenged to think about a prayer band model, meaning, yeah, you have your large ministries, and this is free game. I'm helping y'all, some of y'all. Yeah, you have your large services on Sunday, but you better have some small cell groups. Because this next generation, they good with it. Some of them don't mind going to church with thousands of people, but some of them want to be in intimate settings with 10 or 15 people at Starbucks, going through the Bible, talking about things to develop themselves in a smaller, intimate session. Guess what that is, y'all? That's a prayer band. That's a prayer band. And I make this prediction to you that in the future, you're going to see things like prayer bands where you have small cells and units of people gathering in smaller units, young people, old people, everybody, but especially younger people, and gathering in small, intimate settings, being able to sit around a table, 10, 15, 20 of y'all, and be able to just discuss the word and discuss life and how it relates to your life. And people's lives are going to change and transform. And they'll still be able to go to church and get the inspired word and be around people, but they'll also have the option to be able to learn and grow in a smaller setting. Mark my word. And if churches don't adjust, you'll see. You're going to start to see people checking out mentally and spiritually in larger group settings instead of continuing to grow in smaller, informal, intimate settings where they can ask questions, learn, grow, and develop, right? Many call them tribes, right? Where they set up tribes. We were on pace to do something like that before the COVID hit, where they set up tribes where you have tribe leaders and you meet with your tribe and you you get to do things like that, and you might meet at Starbucks and talk. But that's what that's all about, because people sometimes are more inspired in smaller settings than they are larger ones. So I make you that prediction. The church is going to have to adjust like everybody else. If business adjusts, yeah, some of y'all tell, well, look at, I'm talking about the church adjust. The church don't change, God don't change. I didn't say God changed. I said church. God and church are two different things. Let me just close. This bless anybody, because y'all really egging me on. This bless anybody tonight. I want you to type in your prayer request. Can I pray for you? I hope this word bless you. Some of y'all need to tag some people and tell them to go back and read and listen to this one. I told you, I'm gonna make you think. I'm gonna make you think. And I'm telling you, I don't know how much longer we're gonna be in this format. I just know I ain't throwing this format in the toilet. At some point, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, this format is always gonna be available. It is. It is. This virus forced me to rethink about a lot of stuff that I do in terms of formal church. It did. So this format is going to always be alive in some way. But I'm here to tell you, I hope this virus has challenged all of you to really think about some things. Okay? Listen, type your prayer request in the comments quickly. If this bless you, if you got a prayer request, I want you to type it in the comments. Pastor's getting up now, 4:30, 4:45 every single morning. Good. I'm starting to see prayer requests. Thank you so much. 4:30, 4:45 every single morning, praying over your prayer requests, praying concerning the things that are concerning you. I want you to type them in the comments right now. Come on, quickly. I'm giving you 20 seconds. I'm way over. I'm like 20 whole minutes over, but it was worth it tonight. Come on, type your comments. I'm giving you 30 seconds to type your prayer requests now. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Instagram, I think my Instagram church, they skipped church tonight. But I want you to type your prayer requests quickly tonight. Whatever your prayer request is, type it in the comments. I want to pray for you. I want to pray concerning your situation. And I want you to know that I've been spending the last 5 weeks not even praying for myself. I've been praying for all of you. I've been praying for your needs. And I know God's answering those needs. Come on, quickly. If you got a prayer request that you can't type, email it to us. info@rehabcc.org. info@rehabcc.org. Absolutely, sir. I'm praying for that, man. I'm praying for your strength. Really appreciate how you support us so much. Come on, quickly, quickly, quickly. Come on, connect your hands like this as a sign, a symbol of faith. Quickly, quickly. Connect your hands like this as a sign, a symbol of faith. I'm ready to pray for you. I'm ready to pray concerning your situation, that God will continue to heal you, touch you, strengthen you, do great things in your life. Would you connect your hands like this as a sign, symbol of faith? Really quickly, let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you tonight for your word. Thank you for challenging us to think tonight, challenging us to really consider the lessons learned over the last year in this environment that I truly believe you have graced us to experience. Graced us to experience in the sense that if we are hearing this prayer, we are blessed to be survivors. We are blessed to, hopefully be seeing the tail end of what has been a challenging experience. But thank you, God, for forcing us to consider growth even in this season. I pray, God, that this word has challenged somebody, has compelled somebody to reconsider who they are, where they are, what they've learned from the experience, and how they can be better. Now, God, for every prayer request that's come across this line, I speak to it now, that God, you would answer the requests of your people in a special way, that you would make ways, open doors, meet needs, grant heart's desires in a very special way. There's so many prayer requests that are coming across the line, from health needs to career needs to family needs, to relationship needs, marriage needs, whatever needs, God. I pray now that you would speak to these requests, that you would speak to these challenges, and that you would touch the hearts and the minds of your people as only you can. Not next week, not next month, but God, I need you to do it this week. I need you to do it tomorrow. I need you to make a way for your people as only you can, and not just make the way, but do it exceeding and abundant above all we can ask or think. I thank you for these things and count it done. In Jesus' name, amen. Come on. I want you to type in the comments quickly. It is so. Would you do that for me? It is so. I'm praying for those of you that have put up a prayer request. I'm praying for those of you that have prayed for other people. I'm praying for you. Come on, put it in the comments quickly. It is so. It is so. It is so. God is answering prayers. God's making ways. God's opening doors. God's meeting needs in a special way. It is so. As you do that, I want to challenge you to give quickly. We've run way over time. So if you would give me 60 seconds, I want to challenge you to give quickly. If this message has blessed you, if this ministry has been a blessing to you, I want you to sow a seed tonight into this ministry. I tell you, this is a powerful message. And I know what I'll be listening to tomorrow when I do a couple of laps, I'm going to pull it up, maybe on YouTube, and just listen to it again myself. Sometimes the word is for us, as even we're teaching and preaching. But I want you to go back and listen to this message. I want you to tag somebody in this video and tell them to go back and tune into this one. I'm talking about shifting from religion to relationship. Listen, if this ministry bless you, I want to challenge you to give. You can give one of three ways. You can give via Cash App at $REHABCCGIVE. That's $REHABCCGIVE. Through our website, www.rehabcc.org. That's www.rehabcc.org. You can give through your cell phone by texting REHABWORKS to 88202. Text REHABWORKS to 88202. Right to your cell phone, you'll be able to give right from there, and the Lord will certainly bless you. Again, Cash App, $REHABCCGIVE. Website, www.rehabcc.org, or through your cell phone, text REHABWORKS to 88202. And right from your cell phone, you can give there, and God will bless you in a good way. How? Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, running over. He'll send people to be a blessing to you because of how you blessed us. I can't say thank you enough for all of you that have been so supportive of our ministry, so supportive of us, especially in this virtual environment. And I want to again encourage all of you, like, share, subscribe to this video right now. If you haven't done it, subscribe to all of our channels, YouTube at TheREHABCC, Instagram at TheREHABexperience, Facebook, the Rehab Christian Center. I want you to like all of our channels, like all of our networks, share this video, tag us, tag me, it don't matter. Tag 5 of your friends, tell them to tune in. And then I want you to make plans to not only watch the replay, but I want you to make plans to tune in this Sunday, 9:08 a.m. for our next Rehab virtual live experience. And I promise you it's going to be a blessing in a tremendous way. Listen, y'all, I love y'all very much. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you and your family. I want you to have a phenomenal week. I want you to continue to pray for me. And I want you to know that things are getting ready to turn around in your favor. And I want you to be encouraged. All right, I'm done. I've run way over. I love you guys. I'm praying for you. Have a phenomenal week. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for watching the Rehab Christian Center live experience. If this broadcast has been a blessing to you and you would like to be a blessing to our leader, Dr. Zeb Talley III, you can sow a seed into his ministry by Cash App at $Pastor ZT3. It is our prayer that this message of hope encourage, enlighten, and empower you to be better. Please tune in Sunday at 9:08 a.m. for our Sunday morning experience. And as always,